Okay, get this. A gigantic iceberg just broke off in Antarctica. Like, seriously massive.
Yeah.
Bigger than Malta.
Wow, that's huge.
I know, right?
Okay.
We're diving into all this.
Yeah.
It was in a Euronews article, this whole thing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Our research station had to be moved out of the way.
Really?
Yeah, because the whole ice shift thing. And get this, we're going to find out, like, how all this is speeding up the movement of that whole ice shelf.
Huh. Well, it definitely sounds like, nature is really showing its power here, and also how hard it is for us to figure out what's going on with our planet.
Totally. Okay, so first things first, how big are we talking here? This iceberg is 380 square kilometers. That's like the whole Isle of Wight just gone.
That's enormous.
Yeah.
And you know what's even crazier? This is like the third huge iceberg to break off from that same ice shelf, the Brunt ice shelf, just in the last 3 years.
No way. In 3 years.
Yep. Back in 2021, there was A74, which was, about the size of Paris. Yeah. And then in 2023, A81, that one was like London-sized.
So this isn't just some random thing. This is like a pattern.
Yeah.
What's causing all this ice to break away like that?
Well, this latest break, they actually predicted it back in 2016. There was this growing crack in the ice shelf.
I read about that, the Halloween crack. Right?
Yeah, exactly. They found it around Halloween, hence the name.
Kind of spooky. But good thing scientists were on top of things. There's that Halley the Sixth research station on the ice shelf, right?
Yeah, Halley the Sixth, run by the British Antarctic Survey. Moving that thing was no joke.
Wait, they actually moved the entire station?
Oh, yeah. In 2017, they relocated it. Used skis, believe it or not.
Hold on. They moved a whole research station on skis.
Yep, pretty ingenious, right? All because of the ice conditions.
That's incredible. I got to ask, why is this station such a big deal?
Well, they do all sorts of research there. Weather patterns, space weather, the ozone layer, you name it.
Oh, so moving it meant they could keep all that research going.
Exactly. Plus, moving's cheaper than rebuilding.
For sure. Okay, back to the ice. How do they, track all this movement?
Yeah.
And predict when these breaks are going to happen?
So the British Antarctic Survey, they use these GPS devices, special ones, obviously. They put them right on the ice shelf.
Like super high-tech GPS or something?
Yeah, they got to withstand the crazy temperatures and send data from, well, basically the middle of nowhere.
Wow. So what do they learn from all that data?
Well, they can see patterns, right? Any signs the ice is getting unstable or moving faster. And they use it to make models, see how the ice might react if, say, the temperature changes or the ocean currents shift.
So like a crystal ball, but for ice.
Haha, kind of, yeah. But predicting exactly when and where those icebergs are going to break off, that's still a tough one, even with all the tech.
I bet. What about the satellite images? How do those help?
Oh, the satellites give us a view of the whole ice shelf, from above. So scientists can keep an eye on changes over, huge distances.
So they can see, cracks forming, right?
Yeah, exactly. And those meltwater lakes that form on the surface, and even new icebergs breaking off.
So back to that Halloween crack. When they first saw it, was it just a small crack or was it already huge?
Oh, in 2016, when they found it, it was already pretty big, stretched for kilometers across the ice. And of course, they started tracking it like crazy with the GPS and the satellite images.
They knew it was going to break off for years.
Pretty much. It was just a matter of time. And, that's why they were able to get that research station out of there.
That's incredible. But this isn't like a new thing, right? Ice shelves have been breaking off forever.
Oh, for sure. It's a natural cycle. But the rate it's happening now, that's what's worrying.
Because of climate change.
Exactly. Warmer air, warmer ocean, it all weakens the ice shelves, makes them more likely to, crack and break.
So more icebergs breaking off more often.
And bigger ones, too.
And that means sea levels are rising.
Right. All that melted ice goes straight into the ocean.
It's mind-blowing that something happening way down in Antarctica can affect, coastal cities all over the world.
Yeah, it shows how interconnected everything is. What happens in one place has consequences everywhere else.
So what's the future hold for the Brunt ice shelf? More big breaks coming.
It's hard to say for sure, but scientists think it's likely.
Because it's already so fractured.
Yeah, and with the warming continuing, those cracks are probably going to get bigger and spread.
So the researchers are in a race against time, huh? Trying to understand all this before it's too late.
That's a good way to put it. The more data they can get, the better they can predict what's going to happen and, figure out the risks.
This is making me think, what other tech are they using to study Antarctica besides the GPS and satellites?
Oh, they've got some really cool stuff. Underwater robots, for example, mapping the underside of the ice shelves.
Wow, like exploring a hidden world.
Exactly. And then there are these special radar systems. They can actually see through the ice.
Really, so they can see what's under the surface.
Yep. It's all helping us get a much better understanding of what's going on down there. How the ice, the ocean, and the atmosphere all interact.
But even with all that tech, there's still a lot of unknowns.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Antarctica is huge and constantly changing. There's still so much we don't know. That's what makes it so exciting for scientists. There's always something new to discover.
Like a giant frozen mystery waiting to be solved.
Exactly. And every new discovery teaches us more about our planet's history, what's happening now, and what might happen in the future.
Okay, so we've talked about the science and the tech, but what about the people doing all this research? What's it like to live and work in a place like that?
Well, it's definitely not easy. It's isolated, the weather is extreme, and there's always the risk of danger.
Can't even imagine.
But these researchers, they're driven by their passion for their work and a desire to help us understand this incredibly important region.
That's pretty inspiring.
It is. And their research is giving us valuable information about climate change and helping us make informed decisions about the future of our planet.
It's not just scientists who need to pay attention to what's happening in Antarctica, though, right?
Yeah.
We talked about coastal communities, but are there others who should be concerned?
Oh, definitely. The fishing industry, for one. Any changes in the Antarctic ecosystem could impact fish populations, and that would have a ripple effect on the entire food chain.
Wow. It really drives home the point that we're all connected, even to a place as remote as Antarctica.
Absolutely. And it underscores the need for global cooperation and action to tackle climate change.
It feels like we're at a crossroads. We've got the knowledge, we've got the tools to make a difference, but time is running out.
That's a good way to put it. We have a responsibility to use what we know and to take action to protect our planet.
So where do we go from here? What can we actually do to be part of the solution?
That's a great question, and it's one we'll dig into as we continue our deep dive.
I'm all ears. Let's do it. So it's like they wired up a whole ice shelf with GPS. Pretty amazing, right?
Yeah, it really is. Those GPS devices are constantly sending data, even the tiniest little movements of the ice.
And what are the scientists looking for, like in all that data?
Patterns, mostly. Anything that shows if that ice is getting unstable or if it's speeding up. And they can use that data to make models, predict how the ice shelf would react if, say, the temperature changed or the ocean currents.
It's like having a crystal ball, but for icebergs.
Uh-huh, kind of. But even with all this tech, it's still pretty hard to predict, exactly when and where an iceberg's going to break off.
I bet. So how do the satellite images fit in?
Oh, the satellite images give us that big picture view so scientists can see changes over like really huge distances.
So they're looking for like new cracks forming.
Exactly. And those meltwater lakes that can form on the surface. And they can even see new icebergs, breaking off.
So with the Halloween crack, when they first found it, was it already huge?
Oh, yeah. Back in 2016, when they discovered it, it was already a big crack, kilometers long, stretching right across the ice shelf. And they started keeping a close eye on it, using the GPS and the satellite images.
So they knew for years that this iceberg was going to break off.
Yeah, pretty much. It was just a waiting game. And, that's why they had time to move the research station to safety.
It's mind-blowing. But this is all part of a natural process, right? I mean, ice shelves have always broken off and formed icebergs.
Oh, absolutely. It's part of their natural cycle. But it's the speed that's worrying, how fast it's all happening now.
Because of climate change.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Warmer air, warmer ocean. It all weakens the ice shelves, makes them more likely to break apart.
So we end up with more icebergs breaking off more often.
Those icebergs are bigger, too.
And all that ice melts and, well, raises sea levels.
Exactly. It all ends up in the ocean.
It's crazy to think that something happening way down in Antarctica can affect, like, cities thousands of miles away.
It really shows you how interconnected our planet is. What happens in one place can have a huge impact somewhere else entirely.
So what's the future look like for the Brunt ice shelf? Are we going to keep seeing these massive icebergs breaking off?
Well, it's hard to say for sure, but scientists do think it's likely.
Because it's so fractured already.
Yeah, and as the planet keeps warming, those cracks are probably going to, get bigger and spread even more.
So researchers are kind of in a race against time, aren't they? Trying to learn as much as they can, before it's too late.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. The more information they can gather, the better their predictions will be, and they can, figure out the risks involved.
Makes you wonder, what other technology are they using to study Antarctica? I mean, besides the GPS and satellites, right?
Oh, they've got some pretty incredible tools. They're using underwater robots to map the underside of the ice shelves.
Whoa, like exploring a whole hidden world.
Exactly. And they've got special radar systems that can actually see through the ice.
Really? So they can, like, see what's under the surface.
Yeah, it's giving us a much, much clearer picture of what's happening, how the ice, the ocean, and the atmosphere all work together.
But even with all that, there's still so much we don't know, right?
Oh, absolutely. Antarctica is a massive and dynamic continent, and
Mm.
there's a lot we still need to discover. That's what makes it such an exciting place for scientists to work. There's always something new to learn.
Like a giant frozen puzzle just waiting to be solved.
Exactly. And every new discovery helps us understand, our planet's history, what's happening right now, and maybe even what will happen in the future.
So we've talked about the science, the tech, but what about the people actually doing the research? What's it like living and working in a place like that?
Oh, it's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. You're isolated, the weather can be brutal, and there's, always the risk of danger.
I can't even imagine.
But these researchers are, well, they're driven by a real passion, a desire to help us understand this incredibly important part of the world.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And the research they're doing is giving us this crucial information about climate change. It's helping us make better decisions about, the future of our planet.
And it's not just scientists who need to be paying attention to this, right? I mean, we talked about those coastal communities, but are there others who should be concerned about what's happening down in Antarctica?
Oh, for sure. The fishing industry, for example. If the Antarctic ecosystem changes, it could impact fish populations, and that could have a ripple effect throughout the whole food chain.
It really does show that we're all connected to Antarctica, even if it seems, really far away.
Absolutely. And it really highlights the need for global cooperation, to tackle climate change together.
It feels like we're at this crossroads. We have the knowledge, we have the tools to make a difference, but we're running out of time.
That's a really good way to put it. It's up to us to use this knowledge wisely and to act now to protect our planet.
So where do we go from here? What can we actually do to be part of the solution?
That's a great question, and it's one we'll definitely explore as we continue our deep dive.
Well, I'm ready. Lay it on me. Okay, so we've covered a lot, huh? I mean, a gigantic iceberg, a research station on skis, GPS trackers, and satellites watching the ice. Kind of a lot to wrap your head around.
Yeah, it is, but it all comes back to how everything's connected on our planet. What happens in Antarctica affects all of us.
For sure. So let's talk about, like, what we can do. Climate change can feel so huge. What can we actually do that would make a difference?
Well, just being aware is a big first step. Listening to this deep dive, thinking about these things, that's important.
So knowledge is power, huh?
Exactly. The more we understand, the better we can deal with these challenges.
Okay, but beyond just knowing about it, what can we actually do? Like, concrete action.
Well, reducing our own carbon footprint is a great place to start. Finding ways to use less energy at home, maybe looking at sustainable transportation options, and really thinking about the environmental impact of the stuff we buy.
So, like, using energy-efficient appliances, taking
Yeah.
public transport, riding a bike more, supporting companies that care about the environment.
Exactly. But those are just individual actions, right?
Mm-hmm.
We also need to push for bigger systemic changes, support policies that promote renewable energy, sustainable practices, real climate action.
So, like, contacting our elected officials, supporting organizations working on climate solutions, getting involved locally.
Yeah, all of that. And don't underestimate the power of just talking about this with friends, family, colleagues. The more awareness we raise, the more we talk about it, the more momentum we build for real change.
It's like each action creates a ripple, and eventually all those ripples become a wave of change.
I like that. We can all be part of that wave.
Actually, talking about this, it's making me feel a little hopeful. It's easy to get discouraged, but it sounds like there are things we can actually do.
Absolutely. It's not too late, and every action, even small ones, they all contribute to this solution.
This whole conversation's been, well, pretty amazing, actually. I'm realizing how much is happening in Antarctica that affects us all, and it's making me want to do something.
That's great to hear. We're all in this together, right?
And knowledge is power, but action is even more powerful.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, I think that just about wraps up our deep dive into that massive iceberg breaking off in Antarctica. Wow.
It's been a fascinating journey.
And for everyone listening, keep learning about this incredible place, and how it affects our whole planet. And remember, every little thing we do can make a difference.
Thanks for joining us today.
And until next time, keep exploring and keep learning.